mistake that I see a lot of family farm operations make, and arguably the biggest one, is passing on the operation to the next generation by delegating assets evenly. So this is a massive problem in the industry. I don't have to tell you about that. A lot of families now today, they have multiple kids, right? So they may have 3 or 4 kids or something like that. But there's a lot of situations out there where 1 or 2 of the kids came back to the operation, and then, 1 or 2 of them lived in the city somewhere or just chose a different life, and that's totally fine too. But a lot of parents today, even though the kids are not involved in the operation, they still have this, I don't even know what you call it, right? This belief that they should be distributing these assets evenly, that each kid deserves their fair share. I'm not saying they don't. But the problems that we run into is when you try to distribute farm assets to all siblings there, and you have one that came back and ran the farm operation, the other 2 or 3 that are getting their fair share, you are taking things away from the one son or daughter who did come back that they are going to need in order to be able to operate the business effectively.
Everybody, if you're a dairy farmer in Wisconsin, you received a letter like this from the Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection stating that they are going to start bulk milk tank testing all dairy farms in Wisconsin once a month and sending that off to the diagnostic lab to test for avian flu. So I read the whole thing. I don't understand why this is necessary to do. First of all, you don't even have to have a sick cow for them to test positive. Then if you test positive, you immediately go under quarantine for 60 to 90 days. You cannot sell any of your cattle. You can't move any of your cattle. You can't do anything. Now, mind you, this is all without any cows directly being ill. This is just testing your tank randomly to see if there's a virus present. Okay. And there's no plan after that. There's nothing that tells you what are they going to do about it? They quarantine you. You can still sell your milk, but you can't sell your livestock. So you're going to have to keep on to cows that are normal shipper cows that you sell. And I don't understand the need for this other than it's giving people a job. It's spending a lot of government money, and it says that they're not going to tell anybody that it's your farm, but everybody is going to know that your farm is under quarantine because everybody talks, and people are going to know that you can't sell your cows. You're having epidemiologists from the state of Wisconsin or the USDA coming to your farm and putting you under biosecurity measures. So honestly, this feels like harassment, and that the government is still looking to make bird flu a huge problem where it doesn't seem to be that big of a problem. Because like any other illness in your cattle, you deal with sick cattle and you move on. You do what you have to do for the care of your animals. But the only way you're finding it is testing bulk tanks is bullshit. Because if you don't have a sick cow, I don't think you have a problem. And I think this needs to stop. That's just my opinion. But this is crap. And I hope people in Wisconsin fight back against this. And somewhere along the line, our USDA head, Brooke Rollins, starts caring more about milk, dairy prices, other ag industries besides the price of fucking eggs. Like, seriously, I am so sick of hearing about the price of eggs. Have they stopped killing the chickens yet? That's what I want to know. Anyway, I feel like this is just looking for a problem to make a bigger issue than it is. That's my rant for the day. Have a happy Friday. I will talk to you all later.
Farmers, the backbone of society, ignored until the whole system can't stand without them. They're the nation's sweatshop workers. Except their factory is the sky, their hours never end, and their paycheck depends on whether or not God feels like watering the fields. They'll gamble their entire year on a forecast that was wrong yesterday, spend thousands fixing equipment that will break again tomorrow, and wake up before dawn just to be told they're ruining the planet by people whose entire diet comes wrapped in plastic. They'll work through heat waves, droughts, and government regulations written by people who couldn't keep a houseplant alive. They'll work while politicians use them as props, while grocery stores squeeze them for every last cent, and while the same people who demand local and organic throw a fit when strawberries aren't in season year-round. They'll watch corporations buy up farmland, middlemen make millions, and consumers blame them for prices they don't have any control over. And at the end of it all, after the weather's had its way, the government's taken its cut, and the store shelves are full, they'll still be told they should have done better. Their hands are cracked, their backs are shot, and their bank accounts are empty. But rest assured, they'll get told to work smarter, not harder, by someone whose entire job is sending emails. So here's to farmers, the overworked, underpaid, weather-watching magicians who somehow keep the shelves stocked while everyone complains about the price of eggs. May your equipment hold together, your livestock stay in the fence, and may the next person who says, "Why don't farmers just take a day off?" be forced to harvest 40 acres with a butter knife.
Here in southwest Wisconsin with my 3 brothers, my cousin, my uncle, and my dad, which are the owners. We farm roughly 900 tillable acres, most of which is corn and alfalfa. Split that in half pretty much, 400 of each. Talk about 350 cows 2 times a day in a double 10 De La Valle parlor. We're located here in Mineral Point, Wisconsin. I graduated from Mineral Point High School in 2014. I live here with my wife and 3 kids. I enjoy showing the public just around the farm and how certain stuff works around the farm. I just think that not a lot of people know how farming operations work, and that farmers are not bad people. Like, a lot of people try to paint the farmer as a bad person all the time, and they're just regular people trying to make a living. That's all. Thank you all for following. Hope you all have a good night. Stay cool.
So it is a cool, wet day in Wisconsin here, and as you can see, all the cows are out on pasture because this is perfect weather for pasturing cows. They love how cool it is right now. They love the rain. It's so fun for them. Right now it's time to bring them home. You can see them starting to crowd by the gate, but they were out here for a few hours and they really enjoyed it. So let's flip around real quick. Look at them. You can see they're all the way out there. It's time to go home now, so I'm going to open the gate and let them come out. Come on, babies. Time to go home. Come on, babies. And off they go. Ready to go home where it's nice and dry and take a nap.
A lot of us here in Wisconsin are starting to realize that we made a mistake voting for him. A lot of us here own dairy farms, and they are literally about to go out of business because, see, the tariffs on Canada and Mexico, they're actually really bad for us. 40% of our products are sold to Mexico and Canada, and now they're canceling all of our deals. All of our product being sold to them is not going to happen anymore. So, like, he did say that he kind of wanted to start a tariff war with Mexico and Canada, and we voted for him anyway, even though it might directly bankrupt us. So, like, what was that about? I mean, we just did it. We just did it, and it makes no sense at all. I mean, comment and tell me what you guys think. Does it make sense for people who sell most of their goods to our foreign allies to vote for someone who said they were going to destroy that whole relationship? Does anyone in Wisconsin regret what they've done now besides us?
Wisconsin dairy farmer sues Trump administration claiming discrimination against white farmers. Let's run through a few fun facts. Black farmers own less than 1% of the nation's farmland. Farms operated by black farmers are on average much smaller than those operated by farmers of other races. Black farmers have historically faced challenges in accessing loans and other financial resources from the USDA. In 2022, the USDA approved only 36% of loan applications from black farmers compared to 72% for white farmers, which is crazy because they're only 60% of the population. In 2022, black farmers received an average of $7,774 in government payments, while white farmers received $16,417. Black farmers represent only 1% of U.S. farms, but received just 0.27% of the total market value of agricultural products sold. And what's crazy is this person has already successfully sued the Biden administration for the same thing and was paid out with taxpayer dollars. And this is why they hate DEI, because equality feels like oppression to them.
There's a quiet takeover happening in the Aussie bush. And it's not a conspiracy. It's profit. Cold, brutal profit. I moved out here nearly 2 years ago, leaving some boardrooms and marketing metrics behind. And what I found is something that nobody in the city really sees. Our farmers are being squeezed off their own land. Not by drought or disaster, but by deliberate design. The big corporate retailers and investment companies are pushing prices so low that farms become financially unviable. The farmers try to compete in a game that's rigged against them, sinking into debt, massive debt. Then, the very same retailers, banks and investment firms, now with sneaky names and corporate trusts, swoop in and buy them up at distressed prices. Now that's game over for generational farmers, but also for those of us wanting decent prices and high quality. And here's why it's happening so quietly. Farmers don't fight back. Not because they don't want to, but because they're stoic. They work harder. They try to overcome. But this one, they're not going to win. These retailers jack up the prices so high and still give the farmers peanuts, making billions in the process with their smug smiles on TV, but edging closer every season to buying the next farm along. They own the shops, the transport, the abattoirs, the transport companies, even most of the government. The only thing left is the generational farmer. And even that's on its last legs. But there's one loophole. Pet food. And there's our chance. Connect the farms with the consumer with pet food. That's why we started Pete's Meats. To bring premium raw dog food straight from local farms and to keep ownership where it belongs, in the hands of the people who care for the land. So if you've got a dog and you care where your food and theirs comes from, head to petesmeats.online or search Pete's Meats Braidwood.
So, what was the result of all the farmers going down to London and protesting? Well, the government had a vote.
The ayes to the right, 181. The noes to the left, 339.
There, they have decided to keep the inheritance tax. As you can see, it's all Labour that have voted to keep it. The rest of the parties have voted against it. Now, don't get this wrong. This is not Labour beating the Tories. This is Labour destroying farming.
Man, farmers are screwed. Do you know 75% of what we grow here in BC gets exported to the United States? And today we have a 25% tariff on all those goods. If farmers were screwed before, what do you think is going to happen now? That question is, what do we do? And the great thing is there are solutions of what we can do today. Why don't we get the farmers to sell directly to grocery stores? Why don't we build better connections with local restaurants? Because they want to buy local produce. How about we create more farmer markets or mobile farmer markets where farmers actually drive around to areas where people can't drive to them? There are solutions that we are creating today to save BC farmers, but we need everybody's help. We need more farmers to get involved, and we need the public to help create these solutions and get on board. This town hall this Sunday, everybody is welcome. Come, hear the game plan that we're putting in. We need your help. It's on Sunday, March 9th. It's starting at 5 p.m. In fact, we're going to have free dinner for everybody because in order to save farmers and ultimately Canada, we got to all work together. Come bring your ear because this is the most important town hall you'll ever attend, maybe in your life.
So it looks like we're getting $600 rebate checks. Rebates from the tariffs. Yep, you heard it. But first, we're going to probably pay down our debt first, like a good American citizens. And then we're going to get dividend checks. At least if Donald Trump has anything to do with it.
And the checks are coming in 2 weeks, just like everything else. $600. What am I going to do with $600? Oh, I know. I can use it to pay for the money the tariffs are already costing me. Yeah.
So you wanted proof that the immigration policy would be affecting everyone? Look at your grocery bill next month and the next coming months. ICE ramped up raids in places like Ventura County and parts of the Central Valley fields in California. They went through fields, they went through houses, you name it, grabbing people up. Now, farmers are seeing up to 70% of their workers not showing up to work, left by fear of being arrested. And that means fruits, vegetables are going unharvested, which means they're going to go bad in the fields. A 1/6 generation farmer put it like this: if 70% of your labor force vanishes, so does your crop. And most local workers don't want to pick these plants. And it's a real worry. Cropland is worth nearly $60 billion, and that could be at risk of going into bankruptcy, being sold off to the next bidder, and that bidder may not be an American company. That could be a problem. Workers themselves are scared. One said, if I show up to work, I don't know if I'll ever come home to see my family again. The bottom line is this isn't just hurting farms. It could raise food prices and disrupt supply chains nationwide. Be sure to follow along as I continue to provide updates, and let me know your thoughts below in the comments.
My name is Eamon Curran. I'm a dairy farmer in Dungarvan, County Waterford. I'm probably typical of all the rapidly expanding farmers in the last 10 years. We started off with about 70 cows. We're about 400 cows now. A lot of the labour we were getting were younger lads who were best of intentions. They'd work with you for 6 or 8 months, and then Australia would come calling, or there'd be some other avenue would open up and they'd go down there. I probably heard about Farm Solutions through another farmer in my discussion group. They had a guy who was working from, or came from Farm Solutions, who were very happy with. So I rang up Kieran. He said, right, I'll have a lad for you in a couple of months. He insisted I interview him, which I hadn't ever done before, like over Zoom or whatever. And in fairness, Jimmy, who the lad I subsequently hired, came across very well in the interview. So I was happy enough then to go down that road. Yeah, well, I work off farm as well. So if I take on someone new, I'm having to take time off work in order to train them up. So there's a financial cost in that. When we went to Kieran, then we got people in a different phase in their life usually. They're professionals. Well, it's definitely made life an awful lot easier. Like the only reason I went up in cows was to get in the labour to make life easier for myself. I have 4 children, 13 to 8. And if I was working like a slave doing 80 hours a week, and they're that phase of life when I should be around them, I need my head examined, you know. So if I didn't have the hired labour, I wouldn't be able to enjoy my family the way I do enjoy my family. Like, you get a far better quality of life when you've a good team that you can rely on, you know. Like, I wouldn't say there's too many farmers that are able to take 6 weeks holidays and have the business still perform, you know. So as regards contracts, HR, payroll, all that kind of stuff, Farm Solutions do all of that, so that means I don't have to do it. I don't have to pay my accountant to do it. I definitely recommend Farm Solutions. It's made my job an awful lot easier. They've saved my marriage, so they have.
So how much did my great-grandpa pay for the first 220 acres that was bought on our dairy farm here in southwest Wisconsin back in 1937? That first 220 acres he paid $50,000 for. That comes to $227 per acre. In our area right now, you're talking $12,000 to $15,000 per acre to buy the land.
So we've got another fuck around to find out update. Dairy farmers in Wisconsin are being decimated. The dairy industry is tanking. And why? I mean, we've all heard these Trump NZs screaming from the rooftops, oh, the tariffs that Canada were imposing on their milk, on their dairy, was over the top, it was extreme. Well, it's because of, you know, they have healthy cows and they look after their animals, right? That's why they got a premium on their milk. But here's the funny thing, the dairy farmers in Wisconsin, 40% of their milk or their dairy industry is exported. And guess where it's exported to? Mexico and Canada. Well, what do you know? So now the retaliatory tariffs are now impacting them as well. I'll tell you what, man. I can't make this shit up. Go MAGA.
And this is why small town farmers don't do nice things anymore. We had our cute little egg stand out. Only charged $4 for our farm fresh eggs. All of our money went back to our chickens for treats or stuff to make their lives better.
Americans need to hit their head and wake up. I mean, I hit my head the other day. I was trying to save a kitty and I ran into a tree, and let's just say I fought the tree and the tree won. I fought the tree and the tree won. But we're not winning right here. Nobody's coming to save us. This nice lady and her family set up an egg stand and sunk all the eggs and took all the money.
But somebody decided that our metal cash box was worth breaking off the screws and stealing. And then to make it even worse, we left our egg stand out while we ran errands, and then somebody stole our last 24 eggs that we had in there. So that's why small town farmers, they quit doing this, because stupid shit like this. We live in a small town. We thought it'd be nice out here, but we can't even have our cute little egg stand out here without it being broken into. So
And that's why we don't have anything nice anymore, cause society is rotting away like a fruit on the vine. Everybody has lost their mind like Amanda Bynes, and I'm not gonna stay quiet on set. This shit pisses me off. It should piss you off too. It's not just small towns and big cities, it's all across the USA. Now, the real question is, what are we gonna do to change it?
Well, I checked the rain gauge this morning. We had another 7/10, so we had about 6 inches of rain in 24 hours. Most of that was only in a 6-hour window. Oh, we got some hoof trimming done today. Cleaned out some dry cow sheds. Got a corral situated to run beef cattle through the chute tomorrow. Got to work the calves, get them worked. Get that wrapped up. Other than that, fourth crop's coming along. Probably only be could be the end of this week if the weather cooperates. I don't know. I haven't really checked it yet. Coming along pretty fast with this heat. Hope everybody's having a good day. Carry on.
You know, you'll hear people from the dairy industry say, well, we're highly regulated. We have a lot of rules. We have to jump through a lot of hoops. We've got a lot of laws to follow, a lot of paperwork. It's really not that much. When these regulations were written back in the 90s, they haven't been recalibrated.
Yeah.
For the expansion that happened in the 30 years. And now we're going, whoa, what happened?
Well, even like how I mentioned kind of jokingly, like there isn't another threshold for like a super CAFO.
It's a great question.
You know, like how is it anything over 1,000?
Mm-hmm.
Like the difference between 1,000 and 5,000 is exponential.
Yeah.
How is it all going to follow the same rules and regulations? That seems a little ridiculous.
They're well organized. They're well lobbied.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful industry in Wisconsin. It's a lot of money. So where there's money to be made, there are truths not to be told. And I think what's happened, though, is that everything has just gotten so mega. They want to make profit, right? They wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't profitable. But what the average Wisconsinite or American doesn't really understand is what that's doing to our water.
Which is a real kick in the shorts.
Aaron Pape is a farmer from Peshtigo in northeastern Wisconsin. He recently got a disturbing message from the federal government.
They replied back that they owed me about $30,000. But then there was some very disconcerting language. We're unable to pay on this contract at this time and don't know when funds will be made available because it was contracted as part of the Inflation Reduction Act. Any further practice implementation is at my own discretion.
The message came from the Natural Resources Conservation Service about the reimbursement contract they have with the Pape family farm.
$30,000 might not be a lot of money to some people, but it's a lot to me. It's a lot to my business, and I need that money to operate. I was counting on that money to be able to operate my farm this year. If I don't get paid that $30,000, I got to go borrow that money.
The reimbursement contract was going to help the Papes pay for seed, a watering system, and fence.
And in return, we're taking worn out cropland that's been highly eroded, causing water quality impacts, and we're putting in a permanent perennial grass. I think it's a win-win program.
Pape says the freeze is adding more economic uncertainty for farmers also being hit with the end of USAID, which will cost farmers hundreds of millions of dollars in income. Plus, farmers could bear the brunt of retaliation from tariffs affecting fertilizer pricing and availability right away, all rippling through the rest of the rural economy.
The federal government is just being hit with a sledgehammer right now, and programs are just being smashed and departments being closed, at the drop of a hat. It's way too chaotic. It's making it very difficult to react to.
Pape says he expected elected leaders to make well-thought-out decisions that are in the best interests of the people.
I'm a pretty conservative guy, a longstanding Christian, and have very conservative moral, and social values, you could say. But at the end of the day, I understand that competency in government is a good thing.
So something I've been thinking a lot of lately is, how do farmers deal with stress? How do farmers deal with all the problems that they have in their life? And I think about this because this whole month has been a particularly hard, rough month. I had an illness that went through the cows that I lost a couple cows. One of my show cows died. I've had sick cows. I've had employees leave. I have brand new employees that don't know anything about farming, but I'm trying to teach them. I'm responsible for herd health on 300 and some head of milk cows, plus not to mention the other 400 head of cattle that we have. And I think about it and I'm like, the farmer rate of suicide is 3.5 times that of the average population. And maybe what are some of the reasons? I can't have a day off.
You know, if a family member dies or one of my favorite animals dies, I don't get to take a mental health day because I have to take care of my animals, because nobody will if I don't. And I know people say, oh, well, you chose farming. I do choose farming because I love it. But I also see why people find that the only way out is maybe suicide. Don't worry about me. I'm not thinking about suicide, but I'm just thinking about how hard it is. And today, and this week, and this last month, hell, this last year, it's been really, really hard. And I don't ever want to give up my farm. But I just wanted to let everybody know that I love my job and I love my cows. But somewhere along the way, it would be really nice if people would stop just saying farmers are so great and we need to support our farmers, and actually get rid of some rules and regulations and help the farmer to actually be able to make a living without having to have your significant other work off the farm just to provide extra income and health insurance. I had 1 day or 4 days off all of last year. That's it. 4 vacation days. And I was constantly in touch with my daughter who was running the farm while I was gone. I don't mean to rant, but it's just been rough. Thanks for listening. I hope things get better. Maybe someday they will. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.